Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel and to the Dating Disasters Storytime series. Today's episode is a twofer. We're going to be talking about the crush who gave me my first kiss, as well as how he unexpectedly popped back into my life years later. I was middle school age, like 11 years old. I have always been a bookworm. I still am, but when I was younger, I would straight up devour at least 2 to 3 books a day. I don't know if it was because of the constant need to go back to the library for more books or not, but during the summer when I was out of school, my mom would take me and drop me off at the county library for hours, if not full days sometimes. At the time, my dream job was to become a librarian, and so I kind of felt like I was rubbing elbows with the elite being there. I made friends with a librarian while I was there. Miss Cross is what I'm going to call her. She would allow me to just grab a pile of books and go and sit next to her. I'm not sure how things go in other countries, but during the summer in the United States, a lot of libraries have activities for kids, and my library was the same. There was this one day, though, that this group of boys, like middle school boys, came in. They were so loud, as they are, and they're just goofing around doing all these things. Miss Cross was like, hey, y'all, keep it down, lower your voices, or you're going to have to go outside. The boys then decide that they're going to disband. They go several different places. They're listening to music, looking at books, whatever. One of the boys stays behind, and I notice he's looking at me. So I look down and start reading my book. Psst, psst, psst. When I look up at him, he goes, hi, I'm Kenny. And then he starts going a mile a minute. Our interaction looking back reminds me of the movie Up, where there was that little boy that was super, super quiet, and the girl would just talk and talk and talk. He asks me if I am at the library for the event that's taking place that day. It was a workshop about how to make music with spoons. He sees my hesitation, so he turns to Miss Cross and says, can she come to the spoon thing with me? And she gave permission. She told me I could leave my books there and that I could go. I just needed to come right back afterwards. We had to work in pairs. We ended up working together. He was really goofy, really funny, and so I just remember that we laughed a lot and that I had a good time. The spoon event is over. Everybody starts to leave the library. I wasn't allowed to leave. I could only go as far as the entrance. So Kenny and I were standing there talking while he was getting ready to walk home. My mom pulls up. He runs over to my mom's car and starts calling my mom by name. Hi, Miss So-and-so. Hi, Miss So-and-so. And she says, hi, Kenny. My mom used to do street missionary work, and during that time, she met Kenny's mom and her kids. They exchanged numbers. They kept in touch. My mom saw her periodically, which also implied that she saw Kenny. While I was surprised, I was also relieved because my parents are pretty strict, and when I was younger, they were not very keen on us hanging out or spending time with people that they didn't know. So I was like, oh, okay, well, she knows Kenny. Kenny must be good peeps. I climb up into the car. Kenny is outside asking, well, when is Krista coming back? Are you going to bring her back tomorrow? You know how kids are. My mom essentially lets him know that I'm there almost every single day during the summer. Over the next couple of weeks, Kenny and I kept meeting at the library on occasion. He lived within walking distance of the building, and so he would go, and if I wasn't there, he would just come back the next day to see if I was there, which is kind of cute now that I think about it. But when we were together, we would just go to events, or we'd listen to music, we'd play computer games. There was one day, maybe about 2 weeks in, where we were looking at a highlights magazine together, and out of nowhere, Kenny asks me if I have ever kissed anybody before. And I said, no. Well, would you ever kiss me? Now, again, I grew up in a sheltered environment. We didn't talk about kissing. We didn't talk about romantic interests at all, outside of the fact that my parents were married. So I had seen kissing between my parents and also in Disney movies, and I knew that it was a serious thing, but I didn't know exactly how serious. My instant reaction is no, I can't kiss you. He was confused, but you could also see that his feelings were hurt, and so he starts asking me why I won't kiss him. I just kept saying I could not, that I wanted to, but I could not kiss him. I got really uncomfortable, so I stood up and I started going through the aisles of books in the library, just kind of looking at titles to try and distract myself, and Kenny is on the opposite side of the bookshelf. He's walking back and forth and just keeps saying out loud, my heart is broken in 2 pieces. My heart is broken in 2 pieces. Because he wasn't getting any kind of a reaction out of me, he starts to walk toward the door of the library, you know, head down, dragging his feet, the whole thing. I'm 11. I feel really bad that I've hurt this boy's feelings. And so I start going after him like, Kenny, wait, right? We get to the library door and it is downpouring outside. Kenny's telling me he's gonna walk home, and I keep telling him, you're gonna get wet, it's raining, you can't do that. He's like, so kiss me. And I go, I can't. You're gonna get sick if you walk home. You can't walk home. So kiss me and I won't go home. If you go out of the doors to the left, there's this huge grassy area, but in that grassy area, there's this big dip. When it rained, that dip would fill up with water and form a kind of pond. He looks at the area where the dip is and it's filled up with water. If you don't kiss me, I'm gonna jump in that water. And I said, Kenny, I cannot kiss you. I can't. Please don't jump in the water. You're going to be wet the rest of the day. I'm just too logical for my own good. All of a sudden, he comes, kisses me, and then runs and jumps in the water. I just burst out laughing. He comes up, he's cackling, he's drenched. He decides that he's going to walk home, just squish-squashing his way down the street. That was not the last time that I saw him, but it was one of the last, because then school started back up. It was out of sight, out of mind. Like, I always thought about him because he was my first kiss, but didn't really think about him in terms of, oh, I wonder what he's doing and all of those other things. I have survived ninth grade. I'm in my sophomore year, or going into sophomore year, around that age. I have a sister who's older than me by 2 years. Let's call her Hazel. Hazel is one of those people that is really outgoing, and she's just very energetic in a way that makes her appear younger than she actually is. So she constantly makes friends with younger people. There was somebody that she had started receiving calls from at our house. Somebody who was interested in her, but she wasn't interested in them because they were my age. I wasn't paying attention to the conversations Hazel was having with this boy until she started saying things that triggered memories for me. I just got really curious and I said, Hazel, is his name Kenny? And she said, yeah, his name's Kenny. How do you know? And I said, because I know him. He was the guy that was at the library when I was younger and all of the other things. Between the descriptors that my sister was giving and that I was giving, my mom said, yep, that's absolutely Kenny because that's his mom's name. They're from the Dominican Republic, etc., etc. Hazel gets Kenny on the phone and she starts relaying this information to him. He says he doesn't remember me. So when I start giving more specific details, he says, well, yeah, I remember those things and I remember going there with somebody and I remember doing something with somebody, but I don't remember her, which, I mean, I think was a cop-out because he was trying to talk to my sister. My sister says to him, well, you know what? She goes to the same high school now, so we can just arrange to meet so that you can see each other, and that way you guys can realize whether or not you're talking about different people or the same person. He agrees. I am super, super nervous, but I know it's him, so I agree. The next day we go to school and Hazel says, Kenny usually stands here with this group of friends, so I'll go over there and wait for him, and then I'll bring him over. I was purposefully turned with my back to that area because I didn't want the anxiety of seeing him and having him walk up or being embarrassed or any of that. So I'm turned around the entire time just pretending to read. When Hazel says, Krista, he's here. I turn around and Kenny is walking up with my sister. He looks the exact same, just with facial hair, and he's got a baseball cap on. He sees me, he stops, and you can tell that he recognizes me. In true high school corny fashion, I just turned and started briskly walking down the hallway of the school because I couldn't handle being in front of this boy. I don't know what happened after that, what conversation he had with Hazel, but I do know that he recognized me because he stopped calling to speak to my sister. I guess there's no real closure to this story because even though we went to the same high school, I never saw him again. We ran in different circles and he was involved in some not so legal activities, so I guess it was a good thing that we never saw each other. But yeah, that's the story of the time where my first kiss became tainted, and I cannot think about one memory without thinking about the other. It's just really funny that out of all of the people that he could potentially make friends with and try and get with, it would be my sister. So, what is your story of your first kiss? Or have you ever had somebody from your past come back and try and talk to or get with your siblings? I'd love to know down in the comments below. I will be back next Wednesday with another story. So, until then, if you haven't seen the full series, make sure to go ahead and check that out. As we always say on our channel, with God, all things are possible. And I will see you next Wednesday. Take care.